could you define Christian nationalism? And then in your opinion, how is it beneficial to society? And what would that look like in America if it were to be carried out?
Well, this is the very problem with the term Christian nationalism, because Christian nationalism is often used as a pejorative term. I would ask people who are complaining about Christian nationalism, what do you think it means? Okay? Because if Christian nationalism means that I want the principles of natural law, which are consistent with the Bible, put into law, then sign me up, because I think those precepts are right and true. And it's certainly better than secular internationalism, which is what we had in the last administration with open borders. So we wrote a book back a number of years ago called Legislating Morality. And the point of the book is, you always hear people saying you can't legislate morality. In reality, that's all you can legislate. All laws legislate morality. The only question is whose morality. And I don't want to legislate my morality. I don't want to legislate your morality. I want to legislate the morality. The one Thomas Jefferson said was self-evident. If that's what we mean by Christian nationalism, sign me up, okay? I am for imposing moral principles that are consistent with the Bible. And you have to work through those on a case-by-case basis, but we're not saying that people have to adhere to a certain religious viewpoint in order to say, you ought not murder, you ought not steal, you ought not murder your children, you ought not mutilate your children, you ought to have marriage between a man and a woman. We're not imposing a religion when we say that. We're imposing morality, which is what all laws do. So your quest in trying to define Christian nationalism in this paper is going to be the most difficult thing, because people that don't want Christians involved in politics, particularly conservative Christians, will call you a name, Christian nationalism. You know what they'll never do? They'll never take a progressive Christian who tries to take verses out of context and apply them into law. They'll never call that person a Christian nationalist. In other words, it's only the conservatives that are called Christian nationalists, not the liberals who also use the Bible, I think most of the time out of context, for their political aims. Oh, we have to take care of the poor. Of course we have to take care of the poor. But all the commands in the Bible to take care of the poor are not for the government to take care of the poor, it's for the church. Yet, you'll find that liberals who call themselves Christians will go to the passage about taking care of the poor and say the government ought to do that. That's not what the Bible's telling you. It says people, the church, are supposed to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.